Hey, time for thinking real estate. Kind of a shortened version today.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you know why? Because again, and I need to go to the guy that's got the information. Okay, who's doing the work on Weatherwax? Is that township or is that the
It's
consumer?
Consumers Energy.
Okay, last week I said they needed to put a detour sign up on West Avenue. I've been going through that intersection all week, no problem.
There
I
is
get
a
there this
detour
morning,
sign.
Where is it?
It just says detour with an arrow, though. It doesn't say.
Yeah, but that's on Kibbe. That's
No,
not on
it's
West.
on. It's on West, just north of Kibbe.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
But-
I saw one in Kibbe, but
Yeah,
north
there's
of Kibbe. What good's that going
South
to do
of
me?
north.
Or north,
North
it
of
is.
Kibbe, okay.
Kibbe.
All right, at any rate, so I go that way, then I come back, and of course, who's doing the work on
That's
Horton
county.
Road? That's county?
Yeah,
And
but
the other
they
thing is,
have-
I went through that last night, and they didn't fill the trench. There are 2 trenches there now. One of them is level, the other they didn't fill, so somebody's gonna end up busting a tire and a rim on that, too.
Oh, hopefully
So,
not on your little
I almost
Mini
did
Cooper.
last night. So anyway, that's my complaint for today. It really is getting
So wait.
irritating
Is
they're
that
not
the
doing it.
only complaint we're going to hear from you
That's,
all
that's
day?
the
'Cause
most, that's the most
that'd be
important, and
awesome.
it really is annoying that the utilities and municipality will not provide alternatives, or at least plenty of notice to the
Well,
traveling
in
public.
consumers'
Okay.
defense, I heard that they were really trying to keep a lane open on Weatherwax, but
they did.
drivers were being really rude and inconsiderate. And really, it is safety first. I mean, these guys are out there in the trenches,
I get
literally.
it, I don't object to that, I'm just saying, give us some advance notice so we know what to do, so,
Well-
anyway, so.
Well,
that
anyhow,
leads into
I
the
have
conversation for
calls
the day of
in to
easements.
certain people that I think can solve that problem, because it really needs to say Weatherwax closed, so people know where the construction is,
Yeah.
as opposed
Yeah.
to
I
detour
I
with
agree.
an arrow, because that could be
Because it was
anywhere.
open earlier this week.
It's been open all week, I've been
Yeah.
going through there.
Yeah.
right?
Maybe they do it just to
dodging,
tick you
Dodging
off.
the potholes on
They
Kibbe,
might
of
know
course.
that this show is coming
That's
on,
right, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
what
think
they
I
want a
was...
complaint from a local lawyer, right, that's what they're after.
It's your blood
Okay.
boiling.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
my blood pressure.
So, speaking of Consumers Energy, they are cutting trees in the city, and I assume all over the county, but I can only speak to city.
Well, hang on. They're trimming trees?
They're trimming and cutting trees.
They're cutting
Well, that's
trees
the
down?
same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
No.
no.
You mean cutting them down in their entirety, cutting down the entire.
Depends on where the tree is. It's actually kind of interesting. If you plant a tree, let's say you're going to plant a pine tree, and you happen to plant it within a certain vicinity of their lines, and they notice that, and when it's small, they'll stop and knock on your door and say, when this grows up to be a big tree, we're going to come in and top this baby off, and it's not going to be very pretty. And you won't have any say in it. And so maybe, they'll probably say it a lot nicer than this, but so maybe you might want to move that tree. And there
You
was,
said this was something interesting.
oh, shut up.
Well,
Anyhow, I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting,
That they go,
darling.
that they stop and advise people. I don't know if they just happen to notice it or what, but anyhow, I
So
got
what
a
is the
text.
distance to the
the
wider?
moral is if you're planting a tree,
Look up.
you need to know where you're.
Yeah, and I think if you're in doubt, I think you can call consumers.
I'm sure
and
they would
ask
advise you.
them.
I didn't
Yeah.
know they pulled the whole tree down.
Well, it depends on what kind. I think the growth pattern of the tree.
Okay,
I
I understand now.
So I got an email, or a text from a constituent that said landowners' rights in regards to tree trimming when consumers has a right of way through private property. I was wondering if we could give advice on this. Then he sent me. I asked him to send me the letter that's consumers is sending out. Now I do also know from another constituent that they were at Loomis Park and actually taking down a great big oak. Now I have not driven past it to see, and that person's concern is it's the oak trees. Couldn't someone had come in and harvest the oak tree to use it for wood or for building a table or something? So
Okay.
you're up.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are property owners'
All right.
Right.
Well, first of all, it's easy to determine because you just look at your deed, you look at your plat or whatever other document you have relative to your acquisition of the property, and it will describe the easement. In most circumstances,
Okay, Joe.
the plat particularly will describe the
Speaking.
location of the easement
Hey, Tom.
for utilities.
Hey.
And you look at that, and
call
anything
me
that
after
grows
10?
within that easement, even
Oh,
if the
well.
tree base is located outside of it, but the limbs encroach into the easement for the utility company has the
Yeah,
right
let
to
me give you a
trim
different
it out,
number.
get rid of it in order to
Call
protect the
787.
lines. And
9546,
despite my complaint about the
we'll
utility
set
company
something
this
up.
morning, you have to provide some defense to them too, because
Okay.
if they don't trim
Thanks.
and a limb comes down in a storm and interrupts service, now all of a sudden we'll get all kinds of complaints from everybody serviced by that line. So if the limb, the tree, anything is within that, the shrub, whatever it may be, is within the easement and it interferes with the utility lines, the utility company has the right to trim or eliminate that danger to the lines. It's fairly straightforward. If it lies outside the easement, the utility company does not have that right, and so you need to know where the easement line exists. Now, you will also find in some locations where it's not platted, older meets and bounds description, when lines were installed years and years ago, the utility company did not bother, they would get the easement. First of all, they wouldn't get the easement unless somebody objected, then they'd get the easement and they wouldn't necessarily record it. This was particularly true of Detroit Edison. I don't know if it's true of consumers. And they would simply put the easements in the vault down in their offices in Detroit, and they wouldn't even bother recording the easement unless and until there was a need to do so, some homeowner objected,
Because they
et cetera.
saved money on recording fees?
Yeah, right, we have the easement, and because the line is actually physically there, they don't need to record the easement to give record notice of it, because you can look up and see the lines, you can see the poles within the easement, so they didn't need to record it to give notice to the general public or the landowner that the easement existed. So, that's some easements aren't recorded. Most you're gonna find in Jackson are either recorded or they're part of a plat, so there's no issue about it. But we can talk about the personal issue we had with the cable. You know, the cable company that came in, and there's an easement running halfway across our backyard. I think it's a 20-foot wide easement for utilities, et cetera. And in order to get to our neighbor's house, the cable company came in and they took the shortest route they could, which was right across our driveway in front of our garage, so you couldn't pull a truck in. So I contacted the cable company and said, hey guys, I hate to tell you this, but you gotta follow the utility easement. You can't just string it diagonally across my driveway. And they were forced to come out and remove the cable because they weren't within the recorded easement.
You have to have a survey will show you where easements are, but,
Yeah,
so did.
most of the time,
We
I
didn't
did
do a
have
survey to prove that they weren't within the recorded easement.
No, that one was easy because they took it from the pole, which is located on the lot line, strung it directly across to the house next door, and not even close to where the existing easement is. And yeah,
So,
the
all right, so
plat-
that
the
leads
plat-
me to another question.
Hold on, the plat on our property actually shows where the easement is. It shows it halfway back on our residential lot.
Oh, so here's another question then. Speaking of cable, we have apartment, we have a 6-unit and then other residential rentals. And if the tenant calls and has cable, which we allow, cable will come and they'll just drill a hole anywhere in the house.
They don't have the right to do that. You have the ability to say, hey, look, this is where it's going. If a tenant wants cable, you have to provide the ability, the access of a tenant to media, TV, et cetera. And the landlord can provide satellite, can provide cable, et cetera, but it's the landlord who's in control of where that cable's gonna go through the wall. It's not the
Okay,
tenant.
so if they, like our lease says that we have to have Jeff there when it's being installed.
Jeff being the maintenance guy.
To make sure that it's gonna be put in a place that's acceptable. And they don't call they don't call Jeff,
Right?
then
The tenant is
tenants,
liable.
okay, what about a satellite dish? Cause we don't allow satellite dishes on roofs.
Right, as long as you provide cable, you don't have to provide satellite. In other words, if the landlord says, we provide cable to this particular location, then they're not entitled to put a satellite, even if that's what they want, DirecTV. You simply have to make certain that they have access. So if you don't have cable and they want to put in a satellite, you're required by law to allow the satellite. However, they don't have the ability to put it on the roof. You typically would put it on a window or along a wall in the apartment.
We don't allow that either.
We,
They have to put it on a
landlord,
post.
if you don't provide cable, and I
Right.
want to repeat this again, there's a First Amendment right they have to access to the media.
Oh, I get the cable thing, I get all that, Bill, I'm just saying.
Really?
We
Yeah,
don't,
yeah, you can't as a landlord prohibit satellites or.
Why not?
That, because.
I don't-
Because you're affecting the First Amendment right of free speech of the individual tenant, and they have a right. There's actually a federal act that says they have a right to access.
Can't you tell the
media.
tenant, just go somewhere else?
No,
No.
that's correct. The answer is no. When did you ever have a lawyer give you a one-word answer?
I was shocked.
Okay, yeah, me too. I couldn't believe I was giving a one-word answer.
so that your bill's not gonna be very high. That's
Well,
a good thing.
Well,
So let's jump back to the trees, just so everyone knows, because you may not have consumers in your yard, but you've probably wondered what the blue markings are. If it is a blue X, that means the tree is gonna be taken out completely. And they don't take the stump out, they just cut it down. And they neatly stack the wood. So, if you're looking for wood for your fireplace, you might drive up and down the road. And then a blue dot.
Wait. You want to drive up and down the road to take wood that actually is from somebody else's property but comes from the consumer's easement. That wood belongs to the property owner, Laura.
Yeah, well,
So
some
don't
private-
encourage somebody to come and pick up the
All right,
wood
well,
that's cut
don't do
down by
that,
consumers.
but you could knock on the property owner's door and see if they want it removed, because consumers doesn't take it away. And some people
I've
don't
got
want
one.
that.
I've got
wood.
one for you.
Lay it on me.
A few years ago, my neighbor, they were digging post holes and broke a gas line.
A gas line to your house?
No, it's their house, but it went across the street into my yard,
Okay.
and it had to be repaired. And consumers came over and dug up about a third of my front yard without informing the landowner, property owner.
Yeah, usually they'll try to give you a notice, but if they're doing work within the easement, they're
There's
entitled
probably an
to do
emergency.
that. They're entitled to do that, and they'll try to restore, they'll grade it so that the elevation is what it should be. Whether or not they seed it is speculative.
Yeah, they did.
But your neighbor actually might be liable for that, because the state statute says, the misdig statute says they have to give notice to the utility, and if they're putting in post holes without notifying misdig, guess what?
So I can sue my neighbor?
You could, yeah, in that
Really?
instance, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
She'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, because
She's probably listening.
Is it
That's negligence
recent,
on the, that's
or that was
negligence.
several years
A
ago?
couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's negligence on the part of the landowner for putting in post holes without notifying misdig, so they can come out and mark the utility.
I don't think it costs, I don't think it
Doesn't cost
costs
anything to
you.
get misdig, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know if they contacted Miss Dig or not.
Well,
I
actually,
was-
they didn't, they didn't, because.
I
there
was
would've been
extremely
cracks.
surprised to see my yard dug
Dug
up.
up. And it was summer, obviously, so you didn't notice that your heat wasn't working.
And it's never quite, the yard is never quite.
Oh, hey, talk to
recovered.
us.
Okay.
The city did that. I can't remember what they were working on, but they tore up our front yard, and we had beautiful sod,
That had just been installed, right?
and
Of course,
they
they don't put
put.
inside.
My
they just
yard
seed
looked
it.
like Augusta,
Oh, okay.
kind of.
Our
Oh,
yard
what, a
was.
pine straw
Yeah.
out in the
We're
woods?
out of time.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you have any open
we can't. I
houses?
have some stuff to talk about.
Huh?
First of all, tonight is the first citizen engagement meeting.
It is.
City, you don't have to live in the city.
For the plan?
For the master plan, it's at the King Center, starting at 6:30 to 8:30.
Wow, that's a long meeting.
A lot of visioning. We want everybody to come. You don't have to be a city resident. You can live in the county. You can live in
But it's a
Timbuktu and come visit. I don't care.
But
Just
it's the
come.
city's master plan.
It's the city's master plan. Strong city, strong county, right? And then back to real estate. We have a new listing at 739 Pemberton Lane. I talked about it last week, but I'm going to talk about it again. $229,900. Great house, huge rooms, 4-bedroom, possible 5-bedroom, two full, 2 half baths, over 2,100 square feet, not including the finished walkout basement. And then we have price reductions at 4890 Slayton. That's down to 110,000, 3-bedroom, 2 bath, almost 1,400 square feet, and that's Western Schools. However, that is a short sale, so patience is required. And then 113 North Thompson, which is a cream puff house. This is so nice and very cool brick on the outside. 89.9, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, over 1,500 square feet. It's got a 3-car garage, detached garage, and fenced-in backyard. These are some really nice properties. Things are moving very quickly. I got one offer yesterday on a listing, another offer this morning. So
A lot of activity.
good activity, and we need listings. Call me 780-3800.
Thinking real estate.